Hello friends and neighbors, I'm Matt Guy and I'm back from the Bahamas. I'm going to try standing in this video, and those are just a few of the crazy things happening here. Alright. So, where was I? Pie. Yeah. So a while back, and by a while back I mean shortly after I uploaded the Books vs. Movies review of Peter Pan, I received a comment. I received several comments, actually, but one in particular I'm going to talk about here. I probably didn't need to clarify that for you, but I decided to anyway. This comment essentially stated that one of the inherent advantages that books have over movies and stage productions is that they are able to get inside a character's head more effectively than forms of visual media. So let me start off by stating whether or not I agree with this commenter about books being able to get inside a character's head better than movies or stage productions. I do not. I don't think that printed media is better at doing this than visual media. I just think that it's easier to do it in printed media than it is in visual media. I mean, in a book, all you really have to do in order to tell us what your character is thinking is tell us what your character is thinking. You write, I decided that I would like a nice slice of pie, and it's really not too hard to figure out that the main character wants a piece of pie. But the question is this the only way to do this? And the answer is no. At least I really hope it's not, because otherwise this is going to be a really short video. So what are some of the ways that you can get us inside a character's head and help us see things from his or her point of view? Well, the first and easiest is to just tell us what they're thinking. And you might think that only books would be able to do this, but that's not true. Visual media is able to do it through the wonderful invention of narration. If you've been watching me for a while, then you already kind of know my feelings on narration. I feel that if it's done right, if it's done well, it can be really, really effective in telling the story, but most of the time it's just telling us stuff that we could have very easily figured out by just watching the movie. And yet it is an effective way to tell us what our characters are thinking, either by just saying that person wanted a piece of pie, or actually having us hear their thoughts, their inner monologue, if you will, and have them think to themselves, I'd really like a piece of pie. It's the easiest way to accomplish actually seeing what our characters are thinking, but there are more subtle and, I would argue, better ways to accomplish this. A slightly more subtle variant of this is the dramatic reveal. And this is basically how the character of Snape worked in the Harry Potter series. We kind of went through this roller coaster with Snape. At first we thought he was the bad guy, then we found out he wasn't the bad guy, but we still didn't like him that much, and then we saw that his morality was kind of dubious, and we weren't sure about that, and then we found out that he was a Death Eater, so we thought maybe he still has those tendencies, and then he killed Dumbledore, spoiler alert, and we were sure he was evil again, but then in the end we got the dramatic reveal of his childhood via the pensieve. And this is kind of borderline show and tell, but we were essentially being told about Snape's childhood and what he was thinking throughout this entire story. And so now when we go back and reread the series, we can read it with all of that in mind, knowing that Snape is thinking all of these things throughout the course of the story. And books aren't the only form of media that do this. Television and movies and plays do this as well. Like in some sort of mystery, all of these characters, their motivations are ambiguous and cloaked in mystery, and then the detective makes a dramatic turn and says, You! Me? Yes, you! You wanted a piece of pie all along, didn't you? I wanted it. Yes, damn it, I wanted it! So, okay, that's how you can tell us what a character is thinking, or what they're going through, or how they see things, but this is visual media, right? What about showing us? Well, this is where we return to the concept of inner monologue. Inner monologue is a concept that a lot of actors use. Stage actors, movie actors, what have you. This is basically where while an actor is portraying a character, he will think what that character would be thinking at the time. He won't necessarily tell us what the character is thinking, but he will think it himself, and he will keep it in mind as he is acting. Or she, I don't know why I keep saying he. Female actors too. And if that actor is a good actor, then we will be able to get from their performance what exactly they are thinking. And directing and camera work and editing, all of this goes into that as well. If it's a stage production, the lighting and just the general tone of the performance, everything that goes into these visual productions should be showing us what the characters are thinking and what they're going through and what their perspective on all of this is. There's also the dream sequence. You see this a lot in visual medium, where a character will will have a dream that suggests to us that they're thinking a certain way or feeling a certain way. But this gets a little dicey because dreams are something that are still pretty mysterious to us, and so it's not necessarily going to be a literal representation of what they're thinking, although sometimes it is that as well. But it's usually going to be more symbolic than that, and it's going to take a little bit of thinking to figure some of these things out. And we should never underestimate the power of suggestion, putting little hints into the writing of the script that the character is thinking or feeling a certain way. Like, for example, if the character is recording a vlog and he repeatedly mentions pie over and over again, then you might get the feeling that he might want some pie. And then, of course, we have Rashomon. Rashomon is going to be the subject of the next video, but I'll kind of touch on it briefly here. The premise of the story is there has been a murder, and 4 different people witnessed that murder, but they all witnessed it a little bit differently, and they all tell different stories. In fact, some of those stories even contradict each other. Each of these 4 characters remembers the series of events differently. And they each remember it in such a way so as to put themselves in the best possible light. And so we're not only getting an indication of how they saw the events, but we're also getting the indication of how they remember the events and what sort of spin they're putting on them. The point of these testimonies is not to reveal the truth, but to reveal how each of the characters changes the truth in order to put himself or herself in the best possible light. And in doing so, we learn more about these characters, more about how they see things, more about their perspectives on things. Rashomon had such an impact on movies that the Rashomon effect continues to be used in many, many other forms of storytelling media today. And again, we'll get more into that in the next video. But all of this is to say, no, it is not impossible for movies and plays and television shows to show us what a character is thinking and really delve inside their head like a book does. It's just a little bit more difficult. You gotta think about it a little bit more, but honestly, I think a little bit more thought into these sorts of stories is a good thing. I'll see you next time. Hey, a couple of quick announcements. First of all, I am still running for King of the Web. You can go and vote for me up to 10 times each day. Second of all, some exciting things are happening on my mystery page at Tumblr. That's the one with all the question marks on it, so maybe go check that out. And finally, Henry Fonda. Bye! Through the wonderful invention that is a car driving by, and I'm going to re-record that.
I love that invention. Best thing ever.
I don't, I hate it.
Not guilty.